Welcome back to the Get Well with Me podcast. I am your host and your hypnotist, Adrianne Hart, and together we explore the healing powers of our subconscious mind while leaning in towards a healthier lifestyle. And our philosophy here is excellence, not perfection. And today I want to share with you a little bit about Dr. John Sarno. So I know I've done many episodes on his books and this topic, but it really is the crux of what goes on with us, right? All of these symptoms that we have and their root cause. And the really interesting thing about Dr. John Sarno is he talks about the mind body connection. He talks about the divided mind, and he had a revolutionary approach. And one of the main things that I love about Dr. John Sarno when you watch his lectures, which I really encourage you to do, he has a really soothing, confident, assurance in his voice that is healing. He was a medical doctor. He is passed now. He was 94, I believe, when he passed away. And he was not a hypnotist, but like all the things that are not hypnosis, they're hypnosis. And when you listen to his lectures, they really do go into your mind in a really beautiful way. So, what does he speak about? He speaks about pain. He was a medical doctor that realized that people had physical conditions that were not causing their pain, or they had no conditions that were also not causing their pain. And it took him a while to realize that in many instances, many, and most instances, that a person's pain was from their unconscious mind. And people would ask him, Dr. Sarno, how can I know what the cause of this pain is that is rooted in my unconscious mind? And he's like, you can't. It's in your unconscious mind, right? It's below the surface. So essentially, he says that anything that you think is bothering you, like the things that you think you're stressed out about, they are not the source of your pain. So it's deeper than that. And it's really interesting because he doesn't say to dwell on events of the past or to go digging for events of the past. It's simply a knowledge that is curative, and I would go as far as to say it's an acknowledgement that is curative. So, the reason that I mentioned adulting in the title of this video is because one of the main causes of this physical pain that is actually real physical pain, because pain is how would I say, initiated in the brain. Um, Deeper than that, I would say in the mind, right? So if your unconscious mind has all time in it, okay, so all right, this is the concept. Inside of your unconscious mind, there is no time. Everything that's ever happened to you, from the moment that you were born, and maybe even like, I guess even in the womb, like it's all in your mind, right? But it's not in your conscious mind. So sometimes I like to use the example of a turtle. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast, but if you can imagine, like the turtle is the part that can be inside the shell, and then the conscious mind would be like the head of the turtle that comes out. That would be your conscious mind, right? But when we sleep at night or when we go into a trance, that conscious mind withdraws into the subconscious or unconscious. And I know it's controversial, subconscious, unconscious. I like to just say whatever I feel like saying at the time, although there are some subtle differences. Anyway, so inside your unconscious mind is all the things, right? And your body, your unconscious mind, it doesn't forget. They're all in there all the time, but they're not always being expressed, or that attention isn't on those things at all times. So when we're having pain, particularly chronic pain, and you might notice if you're a person who experiences pain, you may have an injury, you may not have an injury, you may notice that sometimes you don't have any pain, sometimes it's not bearable. One of the main causes is rage, right? It's like that inner child rage. And not to villainize that rage, right? Because it is totally okay to have feelings and it's okay to have anger and it's okay to have emotions and even rage, but it's not always appropriate as an adult to express them all the time. And so then that's where the pain comes in. And Dr. Sarno, in one of his interviews, says, imagine that the pain is your friend, that it actually doubles as one, a protector, because it's allowing that rage or anger that would be inappropriate to, or even shameful to express, to remain under the surface. And it also is acting as information. It's telling you, like, yeah, there is something, right? And just like a little child, if you, if that child wants attention and you don't give them attention and they just say, Mom, 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 and mom does not acknowledge them, they just get louder and louder and louder, right? And that's what sometimes our physical pain will do. So, the reason that I say adulting is because one of the main causes of this rage is like all the things that we're low level unhappy about, maybe even pissed off about. And I'm talking about really simple things where it probably wouldn't be okay to have a tantrum or to not go to work, but just the idea that there is this pressure on you. So it's pressures that are external and even worse and more. I don't know if I want to say worse, but even more severe is pressures that we put on ourselves, right? So let's say a man or a woman, a parent, and they've got to go to work every day and they've got to, right? They have to because they got to pay the bills, because they love their family, because they choose to provide. They choose to show up every day and they might not even complain about it, or maybe they do a little bit. But regardless, it's like almost the internal tantrum of like that kid that's like, no, I don't want to. Even something simple like going to bed at night. So many of my clients, the reasons that they don't sleep is they say it's me time. It's the only time I get. And just like a little child's like, no, I don't want to go to bed yet, even though their authority figure is saying, but you have a big day tomorrow and you got to get a good night's sleep. You have testing or you have this or that. There is still a part of us that just wants what we want, right? There is just a part of us that says, like, I don't want to go to work every day. And there's a part of us that maybe is super pissed off at the thought of having to work until like 65 or 70 or whatever. These responsibilities, these adulting responsibilities, even something like being a parent, biggest blessing of my life, right? Like, absolutely. And I think that most parents would say that being a parent is what gives their life so much meaning and purpose and all of those great things. But guess what? It's also a pressure and it's a big pressure. And if you're the kind of parent who cares about your kids, wants to make sure, all the things like that they're watching the right programming and they're eating the right foods and like you have all of this pressure on you to do all the things right, that is something that can cause this like internal rage, right? Caring for elderly parents, caring for just caregivers. They show up, they are saints. You're like, how do they do it? Right? Like, how do they do it? And they do it out of the love of out of their heart, or maybe they do it out of obligation. And yet there could be a part of them that is just super stressed, like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot. How about the sibling thing? I run into this with my clients all the time. Like it's the good old, it's not fair, right? There's a whole family, there's a whole bunch of siblings, and a lot of the burdens fall on one, um, especially when it comes to caring for a family member or an elderly parent or something like that. And everyone in the family gives them credit. Oh, they're a saint. They show up. I'm so thankful for them. How convenient. They live close by, all of the things. And they may take it and they may or may not complain about it. But deep down, if there is a part of them that is just like, why me? Or, it's not fair. Or, how come my parents, do so much more for the child in the family that is the most helpless and probably doesn't deserve as much, right? Like maybe the one that isn't thriving in life gets the most. And, I'm not justifying that because it's easy to see from a parent's standpoint that, you meet your kids' needs and the ones who need more probably do end up receiving more. However, If you're, as Dr. Sarno would say, a goodist, right? A person that tries to be a good person, a person who puts pressure on themselves to be a good person, to do the right thing, to show up, to serve, to, just that is conscientious, that good worker, that person who, um, does what they think is the right thing most of the time. Like these are all great qualities that serve us well in life. Someone who would be an ideal partner or an ideal parent or an ideal adult child. These are all people who may have this chronic pain because somewhere inside of them, Dr. Sarno sometimes refers to them as the leftover child, which I think is kind of a funny term. I would more so look at it as like ego state work and hypnosis, that pain represents that part of you that wants to be heard. And in many cases, it may never be exactly identified, but that feeling needs to be acknowledged. And even someone who's experiencing pain right now at this moment could be listening to me talk and they could begin to have their pain melt away and dissolve away. Or it might be that later on today, they are thinking, or maybe they're zoned out and their pain just decides to go away. I know that seems too good to be true, and I recognize that in a way I'm risking a lot with my audience by sharing this with you, but this is how it works. We have an unconscious mind and it affects the processes of our body. It affects every cell in our body. It affects the sensations that we feel. It affects the sensations that we allow ourselves to feel. And when we have all of this experience, I mean, think about the things that I just spoke about. I'm talking about the stress of being a good person. Okay. Like, leave aside childhood trauma, neglect, verbal abuse, all of the things. Like, there's more and more and more. And I am a person who does believe that dwelling on those things does not heal them or make them better. So the crux of Dr. John Sarno's work is to assure people that there's nothing wrong with you and that you don't have to be afraid of the pain. Because if we have a pain in our body and it's there frequently, that can give us anxiety. And then we're worried about our body, right? And then we're attributing it to this or to that or to genetics or to disease or, we're buying into different diagnoses and we're going to different specialists. I know that was the case when I was a younger person. You guys probably know my story by now, but I had debilitating back pain. I had not been injured. It definitely was emotional from what was going on at home. And that acknowledgement and hopefully you've heard my story before. I was just listening to a, a back pain cassette tape and became aware. I became aware of what that pain represented. And I was able to acknowledge it and have compassion for myself. And at that very moment, the pain just went. And I am a person who continues to have psychosomatic pain. But and it will come and it will go. And it's so wild because sometimes I'll be like, it's gone, like it flew away. And, you know, moments before I was just like curled up with a heating pad. And sometimes I think like our body will, um, looking for the right word here, but maybe it'll put us in bed for a little while because maybe that's where we need to be. Maybe that's where we need to be. And maybe we do need to rest and maybe we do need to take a day off. Maybe we do need to acknowledge what's going on with ourselves. So acknowledge and dwelling on things are two separate things. So again, I'm not a person that's advocating for digging into your past and reliving your traumas. No, not at all. Just saying like, you know what, there's a part of me inside that's afraid. There's a part of me inside that's sad. There's a part of me inside that is freaking pissed off with all the pressure that is on me, all the pressure to be a good person, all the pressure to make money, all the pressure to, oh, I should be saving for retirement. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Um, you know, maybe you're a person who is working towards a vacation and you think, well, I should pay some bills instead. Or maybe you find that right when you have, saved up that money, like something else comes up and you say, oh, that's typical. That always happens. And you're an adult, so you don't like freak out and have a tantrum. But inside, right? Inside, there is a part of you that wants to have a tantrum. And that could look like back pain. That could look like irritable bowel syndrome, and I am not a doctor and I am not diagnosing, okay? I'm just saying that emotions show up physically. You know that this is true. There is a part of you that's listening to this right now and knows that your emotions show up physically, sometimes in behaviors, but sometimes just in pain. So, I really want to encourage you that if you are a person that has like mystery pains or pains that come and go, um, I'm not going to say like don't go to a doctor, but I am going to say that if you go looking for something that's wrong with you, a doctor will find something, okay? They will give you a diagnosis and they will give you a temporary fix. And in the event that you have a knowing that what you have is emotional pain that is manifesting in your body, just simply knowing it, not being afraid of it, and acknowledging it can be curative. Curative. So I hope that that's really exciting news. I'm going to be doing a group hypnosis session tomorrow with my Wellness Wednesday, and it's going to speak to this unconscious pain, this unconscious anger at adulting and responsibilities, and it's going to be very gentle, and it's going to be super powerful. And it's going to leave every person who attends this session um, feeling better unconsciously, right? Because we don't have to go digging in our unconscious mind. We just need to acknowledge the part of us that is essentially suffering, right? So, if this is in your back, I would get that healing back pain book. Do you know there is such a high percentage of people who read the book or even just the first few chapters and their pain goes away? And I really believe it's the two things. It's the one is not being afraid of the pain and believing that there's something wrong. And the second part is acknowledging. It's just that acknowledgement. I have some things here that Dr. John Sarno, his 12 daily reminders. So he says that the pain is due to TMS, not a structural abnormality. Now, he believes bulging disc, scoliosis, right? I was told I have that. I probably do. That's why I'm always like sideways, but so what, right? Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. So what's that mean? Um, but TMS, essentially is a condition where low level oxygen is being, um, I don't want to say cut off, but reduced to a certain area, and then that allows the inflammation and the pain to happen. So, and it says right here, the direct reason for the pain is mild oxygen deprivation. I mean, is it really that hard to believe that your body can inflict pain on you to bring an awareness to an emotion? I mean, to me, in my world, it's just not that hard to believe. Um, TMS is a harmless condition caused by repressed emotions. Yes, harmless. That's the key word there, right? Whatever you've been dealing with, like some people get migraines. Some people get gastrointestinal things. Some people get severe neck pain. Um, everybody's a thing. Like, do you know anybody who doesn't have a thing? I guess there are some people. They're probably like really in touch with their emotions. Okay. I know. I cracked myself up. I'm sorry. The principal emotion is my repressed anger. Yeah, so essentially it's like yes, all emotions like sadness and shame and all of those things, but like the anger, right? Like the anger, the it's not fair. Why me? This is so hard. I don't want to. I don't feel like it. This is so much pressure. Maybe you were a great athlete when you were a kid and like there was all this pressure on you to be amazing all the time. And Maybe you put a lot of pressure on yourself still to be amazing all the time. And you know what? You are amazing all the time. So receive that. TMS exists to distract my attention from emotions. Yes, right? Because imagine this, it's actually easier to feel physical pain than it is to feel emotional pain. Often. I'm not going to say every time, but often. This hair, sorry, it's driving me crazy. Um, since my body is normal, there is nothing to fear. That is so essential. Like not being afraid of that headache and be like, oh my gosh, what if it's XYZ, not being afraid of that stomach pain and thinking, oh no, and you Google it and now you think maybe it's this or that or it's genetic and no, no. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. That's a great affirmation because fear itself is super damaging. So, is it really that harmful to believe that there's nothing wrong, that you're physically okay, that it's okay to experience pain sometimes? I know some of you, I'm losing you. You're like, go to the doctor, get it checked out. Do that if it makes you feel better. I do that sometimes. Like sometimes I get, so worked up. There's been times, right? There's been times I've gone and got the x-ray and they're like, you're fine. And you go home and you're like, I'm not fine. I'm fine. You're fine. It's so therefore physical activity is not dangerous. So that's the other thing Dr. John Sarno says is like the pain scares us so much we stop doing stuff, right? Like I'm just gonna injure myself more if I keep moving my body. No, move that body. Well, that's not what he says. He says to wait for the pain to subside and to ease back into like physical movement. So that's great advice. But don't believe that you are never going to be able to um, do things again, right? Because that could make the pain even worse. All right. Another daily reminder is I'm not concerned about my pain. It's the worrying about the pain that is such a huge distraction. And that's actually part of the syndrome is to keep you thinking about your body instead of your emotions. Like, are we getting that? Am I getting that? I'm asking myself here. Physical pain can be there so that we're thinking about physical pain instead of really what is wrong, right? The physical pain is there so that we don't have to feel our emotions. Isn't that interesting that we're feeling them anyway? You really just can't get away. There is nowhere to run. I will shift my attention from the pain to emotional issues. And he does recommend like writing out things. And I've done that. And I know that I've kind of like shared some of this list, probably not a lot, but to do this episode, I just grabbed this book and inside was my list. And I was like, oh, you poor child. It's so sad the things that you're worried about. And it's like, I was not even thinking about these things till I saw this list. But wow, that's deep. So imagine that you sit down, maybe you have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, whatever, and you sit there and you just write down like those things that you don't want anyone to see it. No one has to see it. Maybe you write down like I'm pissed off that I have to go to my stupid job every day, right? Maybe you write down um I'm worried that I'm disappointing my parents. That's a real thing. Like we never really grow out of that. I don't know where or what your relationship is with your parents or if you have one or not, but like it's a thing. It's like in our unconscious. It just is. It just is. It might even hurt for me to even say that, but just allow yourself to acknowledge that for just about everyone, that's a thing. And maybe you're not. maybe there's relationships in your life that you are like, I'm over that. I'm past that. I'm over that person. I'm beyond that friendship. I don't have time in my life. I went no contact. But you know what? Maybe somewhere inside, like you're just a little bit pissed that life didn't go how you thought it was going to go or how it should have gone. One of the other things that people get really like angry about is like the potential or the reality of um I'm going to say living a long time or not, right? Both those things. So, yeah, like just knowing that aging is in the works, right? However, we choose to see that, but like that littler person, like think about the things you were worried about when you were a kid. Like, you're worried about dying. You're worried about like that people that you love might die. You're worried about. I was like a super worried kid. I mean, I used to sit at my dad's desk and go through all the mail and make a list of how much the bills cost and then look at his paycheck and like see if there was enough money. Like, you know, that's so sad. Like, what is wrong? See, that's a bad question. What is wrong with me? And just thinking about like, what are the things I can do? What are the things I can do to help the family? What are the things I can do to make my mom less stressed? Um, you know, inside that little Adrianne, she's still in there, and that's a lot of pressure on her. And now you grow up and you find out you have so much more pressure on you, and there's so much more people depending on you, and you have so much more work to do. Hmm. Maybe that causes a little bit of pain sometimes. Okay, sorry guys. Sidetrack. Um, I intend to be in control, not my unconscious mind. It says, I will take charge of my healing by consciously addressing my emotions rather than letting my unconscious dictate my pain. That's right. Like I'm going to acknowledge them. You ever hear somebody say like you got to sit in it? I don't usually use that phrase, but that's what that means. It's like I'm gonna just feel this right now. Maybe there's a time and a place to numb out, but how about I'm gonna sit in this for a minute, maybe just a minute, just like that little kid that just wants to be heard. Like, just what? Tell me, what do you want? Okay, I hear you. All right. And it hushes down, and that pain can too. All right, I must resume all normal physical activity. I will engage in activities I may have avoided due to fear of pain, as movement is safe and beneficial. Right? Like, are we really giving up on ourselves and saying, like, the pain is so much that I can't move anymore? Well, that's a great way to not move towards our wellness. We know we have to move. Even think about the trauma of a surgery. What's the first thing they say? They're like, physical therapy, get moving, because you got to move it. You got to move that body. You get to move that body. And I am not lacking compassion. Like I'm not saying like, press through the pain and suffer. I'm just saying like believe that you'll move again. Mentally move towards physically moving again. You can do it. You're doing it. Okay, last one. I must concentrate on remaining psychologically aware. I will stay mindful of my emotional state and use psychological tools to address the root causes of my pain. That's like saying I am committed to doing what I have to do, whatever that means for you. For some people, they come to a session with me and we identify that part that needs to be acknowledged and gets that compassion. And in hypnosis, it's kind of easy. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound easy, but it is easy and it's possible. And healing is available to you, and feeling good is available to you, and feeling better is available to you. So, yeah. I realized during my little research for this episode that Dr. John Sarno made a movie called All the Rage, and it got released like 2 days after he passed away, I think, or 2 days before, or something like that. So I look forward to seeing that documentary. And when I do, I'm sure I'll make another episode on this. I do have some hypnosis sessions that I made that were inspired by Dr. Sarno. I don't know what number they are, but maybe you can find them. Sorry. But I'm definitely going to make new ones. So be looking forward to those. Just be compassionate with yourself. It's okay. You have a lot of pressure on you from the world, from your family, from your job, and mostly from yourself. So be kind to yourself, speak well to yourself, speak well about yourself, and just keep going, keep moving forward. You got this. Till next.